right, everyone, welcome back to another episode of The Lockdown featuring our guest, Leo Rautins, a color commentator for the Raptors on Sportsnet. Leo, how's it going?
I'm great. How are you guys doing?
Pretty good, like we just said, you're living in Florida right now, so not as good as that life, but it's been a couple of hot days in Toronto, but it's raining today.
It's getting better. It's getting better. You guys will be all right.
Yeah. Anyways, like we just said, we witnessed the twine and wine at 5:00 from Leo Rautins. So that's something you've been doing and just a little bit of trick shots here and there. So what have you been doing to keep busy during this whole quarantine?
Well, that's the twine and wine's a little bit of fun. We had a TSN one day when the NBA was doing their horse competition. TSN asked everybody to kind of do a little something, talk a little trash, and so we did it. And I had fun with it. So I said, you know what? Why don't we, and people seem to respond well to it. So I decided to add a little wine to it and have a little fun with it. Like I said, the response has been great. And the whole thing is, right now I think a lot of people miss sports, and a lot of people are struggling with isolation, the quarantine, everything that's going on. So it's kind of a distraction, share a laugh, everything like that. So I've kind of enjoyed doing that. I've had fun with that. And then I have some other business interests. So I've actually been really busy. So it's it started out really slow, and now I've been really busy. So it's been I can't complain.
Leo, I wanted to ask, so when Rudy Gobert tested positive, that was kind of one of the first dominoes to fall, and that kind of started everything. So from your perspective, what was that process like of, Rudy testing positive and kind of the NBA shutting down for the time being? What was the news? Like, how did you kind of get that information?
Well, it was actually kind of crazy because we had a game in Sacramento. I think it was a Sunday night, and then it was a back-to-back a Monday in Utah. And I was actually going, wait a minute, why do I got to fly back to Toronto for studio for the Utah game when I could just go to Utah I'm there with the team, so it makes no sense. So I was actually a little ticked off that I had to fly back for studio, but it turned out to be a good thing, right? So my normal week that week we had that game Monday night, and then Tuesday morning I was flying here to Florida because our next game wasn't until Friday. So I had 4 days here. I was going to come back here, relax. So I got here Tuesday morning, and again, I wasn't in Utah, so I wasn't physically there and a part of any of that because everybody that was on that plane, everybody had to go quarantine. So I got lucky there. But by Tuesday night and then Wednesday morning, I'm getting all these phone calls and everything, and the next thing you know, that's it. Adam Silver shuts down the NBA. And I'll tell you what, that was brilliant. You could talk about the whole pandemic and, the U.S. government, the White House. I don't even want to say the dude's name, but how he's mismanaged this whole pandemic. And if you think about the lives lost because of that, but then you think of Adam Silver and the NBA, was when the NBA shut it down, the whole world shut it down. Like literally, every league in the world followed the NBA. So aside from being the right thing to do, Adam Silver and the NBA probably saved tens of thousands of lives by just saying, hey, that's it, we're shutting down. It was a gutsy move, and it really showed a lot of leadership. So it's pretty cool to be a part of a league that handles their business that way.
I just find it insane, too, that a year ago you were in the thick of a championship run with the Raptors, and following that, just looking back, how special is that to be following that and being a part of that?
Oh, it's amazing. But, like you said, a year ago, that seems like a lifetime ago now with what we're looking at. And, we don't even know what next year is going to be like. So it is kind of crazy. But, it was an incredible run, honestly, from start to finish. And when I say start to finish, I mean the whole season. The whole season from changing the coaches to getting Kawhi and trading DeMar, Gasol coming in for Jonas Valanciunas, Nick Nurse doing what he did, and then you get into the playoffs and just the run they had. It was unbelievable to be a part of the whole thing. And as you guys know, in the NBA, all broadcasts outside of ESPN, TNT, and NBA TV, they're ABC, which is all kind of the same family, they're done. If you're not part of that, after the first round, everybody's done. but we're Canada, so we kept going. And that's a unique opportunity to be able to broadcast all the way through the championship. And again, for me personally, I do I'm the Raptors, one of the Raptors color analysts, but at the same time, I'm a kid that grew up in Toronto, right? I'm a kid that was playing a game when nobody cared about the game. When you got a smattering of the Buffalo Braves, and that was your NBA experience. So to see where, I don't know, where everything's come to be a part of this championship run, to see the impact that, we don't even know what the impact is going to be yet from having that unbelievable run and being a champion. So it really was, it was surreal. Even though I thought the Raptors could win, and as we kept going, I was convinced the Raptors were going to win. I was very confident. But even after they won, I could remember last summer, I'm walking around here, I'm going, NBA champions. It's like, it was still kind of hard to grasp that the whole thing happened.
With that being said, the NBA is looking to shift their current playoff format, and it's something that we really haven't seen before, where the East will play the West, and it's basically the top playoff teams will play each other. And maybe that's even something that will continue next year and change the whole format. Do you like the new format that they're proposing, and do you think that it would be a good change for fans as well?
I see both sides of it. I think, teams want to try to get to the playoffs. It's great for your fans even if you sneak in there. People still want to kind of experience that. You're going to eliminate a lot of teams. A lot of teams are going to have no shot. So I get how some people might not like that. And some people might not like their team's chances in a top 16 versus just a chance to get to the Eastern Conference Finals or NBA Finals. So I get all that, but I've always kind of liked the idea of top 16 teams. I also like the idea of maybe reshuffling if you have to, just so you always have the best teams going in case there's any surprises. But we're in a unique situation right now with this whole pandemic, and you're not going to have fans. It's going to be kind of a made for TV event. So whatever you can do, maybe to make it a little bit more exciting, maybe a little bit more where every game is bigger. Why not? Try something different, because if you're ever going to try it, now is as good a time as any.
And we've seen just a couple of days ago the NHL announcing their own 24-team playoff format. In terms of the NBA, what do you think is the best and fairest way for the NBA to approach it while still kind of keeping safety as a priority? Do you think extending the playoffs to adding a couple more teams that were trying to make a late playoff push like the Trailblazers or the Pelicans, or do you think they should just cap it at 16 and whichever teams are in the playoffs right now make it to the playoffs?
I think if the teams are close, if there's some teams just on the fence, have a play-in, right? Have a play-in while the other teams are finishing up camp or maybe playing an exhibition game or something. Have a little play-in and then you start. So but if you're like, I don't like the idea if you're not in the picture just to play some games. I think a few players already said, you're risking injury, and nobody really knows how you're going to be able to contain your environment and everything else at this point. So, if you're out of it, you're out of it. Wait till next season. If you've got a chance, maybe give those teams a little play-in opportunity and see what happens.
And something that's being talked about right now is all the teams playing in one hub, kind of a bubble, I guess you would say. So what are your thoughts, from the perspective of someone that's played in the NBA? Do you think it's realistic for players to be kind of contained in a bubble? Do you think that they will kind of, follow the restrictions, or do you think it's going to be kind of difficult to keep them in one place?
Well, I'll tell you what, if you're smart, you're going to stay where you're supposed to be. We're playing with fire here. This virus spreads in a variety of ways. Obviously, it's airborne. It sticks to things you don't know, right? And to expose yourself. Okay, for example, I'm here in Florida, and it's hot, it's warm. I don't leave this house unless I absolutely have to. And when I go anywhere, grocery, if I have to go, I'll order my grocery. If I have to go, I got a mask, I got gloves. I don't take any chances. So I think we're still at that stage. So if you're a player, number one, do you want to play? Okay, here's your opportunity to play. Number two, if one player gets it, it could be your whole team, or that could be your best player. It could be, I don't want to be responsible for bringing that to, to my best player in my team or something like that. I think I think teams are smart enough and are going to tell guys, what this is all about. And the fact that, hey, if we are centralizing, we're centralizing for a reason. It's to be able to do this, and it's to be able to, for everybody to be safe. So you got to make a commitment. It's whatever number is, 60, 70, 80 days, whatever it may be. You make that commitment. You try to make a championship run, and then we see where life takes us after that.
And Leo, I know things are still fresh and, everyone's trying to figure things out, but considering that you are in Florida, is there any talks of you potentially going to the, complex, the sports complex at Disney that's being proposed to report at all? Do you feel safe to do that if that was even offered to you?
You know what? There's been no talk of anything at this point, like zero.
Yeah.
My gut feeling, just if I'm going to just guess what might happen, I don't know if you remember when the Raptors played preseason in Tokyo. We were in studio in Toronto, and we called the games off a feed, right, a world feed. So my guess, the NBA would probably set up several crews that'll be there the whole time, and they'll just be doing, broadcasting every game, and then that game will be fed to all the local teams, and probably a national version that will be broadcast to the world, and everybody will be doing it from wherever they are. That's my gut, because everybody's talking about if you're gonna centralize, you really want to have essential team people only. So, like I said, if there's an arena guy, that'll be one arena guy for the whole every team. And if there's, like I said, probably have, it's going to be a lot of basketball. So I don't know if they want to have 2 or 3 production crews. It'll just rotate. But I think you really want to limit how many people get in and out of there. So that's my gut. If I was a betting man, that's what I would bet would happen.
And I wanted to know, did you watch the Last Dance documentary?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And, from someone who played in that era and now is analyzing a new era, I just wanted to get your opinion on how, obviously there's always that question, who's the best player ever, but eras always change. And since you've been a part of both, I want to get your perspective on which, how the game has revolutionized in today's day and age, and how, the load management comes into play, and how, like, Michael Jordan was literally playing with a flu, like, just the differences in eras, and what's your opinion on that?
It's obviously dramatically different, right? To me, Michael Jordan's the greatest player ever played, and that's not a slight on anybody else, right? It's I love LeBron. I love what he does. I love how he plays. I enjoyed Kobe, and it's all perspective, right? Wayne Embry, a consultant for the Toronto Raptors and a great historian of the NBA, he says Oscar Robertson, right? And that's his perspective, and I can't even have that conversation because I didn't see enough of Oscar. So I always put, when I say I think he's the greatest, in context. But Michael Jordan, to me, was the greatest combination of talent, desire, intelligence, dog, you name it. I mean, I've never seen anything like it. Both ends of the floor. He could shut you down as much as he could dunk on you. And like I said, he wanted to destroy you every game. He didn't want to just beat you; he wanted to destroy you. You don't see that. I mean, Kobe was the closest in recent times of somebody that had that mentality. But even Kobe wasn't Michael. So to me, he's the greatest. And I thought Last Dance did a pretty good job of giving you an idea. Like, some people are shocked. I don't know what people are shocked about, or even criticized. I mean, great players operate at a different level, and he challenged guys on his team. He got on guys on his team. I didn't see anything shocking or worth even having a big discussion over. I thought the Last Dance was also interesting that there was nothing on there that I didn't know or hadn't been aware of or hadn't seen, other than Scottie Pippen and his family background, with his father and his brother in a wheelchair in the home, and that to me put the whole contract thing in a little bit of perspective. But I really enjoyed it because I'll tell you what, when Michael was playing, I didn't care where I was, what I was doing. I was going to watch. And there's no player since then that has me. I'm watching. Hey, Michael's on. Hey, Michael's on. Right, and he was just incredible. And I saw some games and some of the things he did. It was just phenomenal. And so yeah, it was fun to watch. I really enjoyed watching that whole documentary.
Something I did want to ask you though. So during your time playing in the NBA, you were on teams with both Dominique Wilkins and Dr. J. So I know it's very hard to compare, but if you had to pick one of them as the better dunker, who would it be?
Well, they were very different dunkers. First of all, they're both great in-game dunkers, right? They're dunking on you. But Doc had those big hands, right? I mean, Doc could swing that ball around and do crazy things. So I'd give it to Doc. But Dominique had this crazy power. If you watch his highlights, he gives you the illusion that he's still going up when he's dunking. I mean, he just seems to be going up. And I'll tell you one thing, though. Like, I could jump, right? I could dunk. I could do a 360. I do all that. When you play with those guys and you're on the floor with those guys, you realize you can't jump, right? You realize that all the time you spent dunking the ball, you were better off putting the ball on the floor, left, right, pull up, working on everything that gets you a shot, because you're never going to do what they do, ever. So they're spectacular. And like I said, I didn't really finish on with Michael, that when you look at Michael, Dominique, and Dr. J, they played in an era that was extremely physical, right? They, guys could, hand check you, hold you, knock you down. You come inside, you're going to get hit. You're going to get hit hard. It's a very different game. And I don't like the idea when people say, well, LeBron could never play in that. Look at the way the dude's built, man. If he was born in that era and he grew up in that era, he could play in that era, okay? But the guys that lived that era, like a Michael, a Dr. J, and Dominic, you put them in this era, oh, these guys be dropping 50. Like, I'm serious. Like, I talk to Dominique all the time, and, he doesn't walk around saying it publicly, but he'll go, man, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? If you can't hold me, you can't hand check me, you can't knock me down, I can have freedom to move. All those guys would be, I'd hate to see how dominant they would be in today's game. And that's the only thing. It's I don't agree with the argument that the guys today can't play it in the other era, but it's a lot easier to play in this era from a physicality standpoint, a lot easier. Plus these guys can, hey, I need a day off, take a day off.
No, it's scary to think how dominant past players would be in today's NBA. I know Dr. J was one of your favorite players, entering into the NBA, and I was just wondering, do you have any stories when you first met him, and what was it like interacting with him?
Yeah, actually, one of my, I always tell this story that just like you guys. I mean, I don't know if you're basketball fans, you got pictures or posters. So I had a big poster of Dr. J right by my bed, right? So I was sleeping next to this guy for years, And so I go to Philly, and there's I worked out with the rookies in the morning, and I came back and I worked out with a bunch of college guys. We practiced at St. Joe's in Philadelphia. So there was like a golf outing we had to go to, and so my legs are ready to fall off. Right, I've already spent 5 hours in the gym, and now I'm in this golf thing, and so I'm in this enormous room, and all of a sudden Dr. J walks in the other end. And I'm going, oh, it's just like I said, if Michael Jordan walked in there right now, you'd be going like this, right? So I'm like, whoa. And he looks around the room, and he starts walking right to me, right? And he goes, hey, Julius Erving, sticks out his hand, his monster hand. I go, yeah. It's like, I know, right? But he's going, hey, Leo Rautins, nice to meet you. Hey, this is fantastic. This is that. So he was unbelievable. And then he says to me, he goes, listen, I'm gonna work out tonight. Now, he hadn't played since the championship. They won the championship. He had hurt his groins, so he was basically off the whole summer. And I'm working out like 2-3 times a day, right? So he says, I'm going to work out tonight. You want to work out with me? I go, yeah, absolutely. Now, again, I can't. My legs are dying. I'm already fried from today. And so first thing I did when I got back to my place, I called all my buddies back in Toronto. I said, hey, I can't talk long. Dr. J and I got to go work out. So it was great. But the funniest part was I always tell young players, I think to be a great player, you got to have imagination, right? You can't just walk in the gym and shoot. You got to pretend you're playing against somebody. And I used to always visualize myself playing against the great players. In my driveway, I beat Dr. J a boatload of times, right? So all of a sudden, we're playing this cutthroat one-on-one. Dr. J, Charles Jones, Andrew Toney, who was a great player, myself. So it's winner, you score, you stay on, and the next guy rotates in. And all of a sudden, I look up, and I got the ball, and there's Dr. J in front of me. He's all spread out, wings like this. So initially you think, man, you'd be nervous or something, right? But I looked up, I go, man, I played against this guy before, like in my head, right? So it actually felt very comfortable. But I'll tell you, he's a unique player. He really is.
With that being said, obviously you mentioned the eras have changed, and the physicality component has probably decreased. And you see the big men today, they're dominant like AD. But shooting has become such a key component of the game. What do you think of a 4-point line if that was ever introduced into the NBA?
You know what? If you want to throw it in there, it would have to be a really, really crazy shot as a game changer, right? You're down 8, and you're trying to get back in a game with 30 seconds to go. You toss it up. Why not? I don't like it where late in the clock somebody just heaves it up for no reason. All of a sudden, a game can change dramatically. From that standpoint, maybe you can only use it at certain times. That may be a criteria. But it's like when I talk about the 3-point shot. I love the 3-point shot. I love the fact that you got great shooters. I still think there's a difference between a good shot and a bad shot, right? There's a good 3-pointer and a bad 3-pointer. I just volume threes regardless. I got it. I'm shooting it. Guy's got a layup. He kicks it out for a 3. I still have a hard time with that. I still think a good shot's a good shot. So I don't like the idea of things getting mucked up, but I also understand that it's all about fan entertainment and appreciation. And if people are buying into it, people like it, they'll do it.
There's one more question I want to ask you before we get to our final wrap question. So over the last few decades, there have been different icons, different faces of the NBA, from Jordan to Kobe, and for probably the last decade or more, it's been LeBron James. And it seems like Father Time isn't really doing anything to LeBron James. He's still at that peak level, but at some point he will retire. Do you have an idea in your head of who you think the future of the NBA, who the next face of the NBA is going to be? Is it like Giannis or Luka or another player?
Well, I think the two guys you mentioned are making a great case for it, right? I mean, Kawhi Leonard, if he stays healthy, but Giannis just keeps on getting better. He keeps adding stuff to his game, and he's just a physical specimen. He's unbelievable. I mean, he's got the perfect basketball body. You stand next to him, you're just in awe of him physically. Luka's just, his skill level's off the charts. His IQ's off the charts. So, I think the NBA is in good hands. No one knows what Zion's future is going to be yet. Can he be healthy? Can he stay in the game? Things like that. But, I think there's a handful of really good young players in this game, and so I think we're going to see one of these guys emerge, and whether they can be, if I'm going to say which one can be most LeBron-like, maybe Luka. Like I said, with Giannis, it's the physicality, and Luka, it's kind of the whole package. But it's a tough one. I mean, you look at LeBron's longevity. His ability to win everywhere he goes, and like his basketball IQ's off the charts. He's going to be a hard guy to follow up, but I think there's some good guys in the trail into play here.
Absolutely. I think there's a lot of players on the come up, so we'll have to wait and see. Leo, we hope you're enjoying the weather down in Florida, and hopefully we can see some NBA basketball being played in Florida very soon. Thank you for taking the time to talk to us.
Hey, my pleasure, guys. Thank you.
Thank you, man.
Thank you, Leo.